This is the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
You're inside Jamaica Magazine.
Encouraging the information flow, sharing the news and views you need to know.
We are building an informed Jamaica every day. Listening to what you say.
It is Thursday, January 28. Hi there, I am Alison Watson. Thanks for joining me for this edition of Jamaica Magazine. In today's newscast, more than 90% of bondholders submit to debt exchange program ahead of the new deadline. Negotiating agreement for Air Jamaica sales signed and a new ophthalmology center opened. The news in detail after this break.
This is my appeal, Jamaica. Give blood for it.
Give blood and give the gift of life. So safe you don't have to think twice. Do what you can for one another.
Yeah, man.
Be a hero, be a blood donor.
Yeah, me people. Watch it.
Give blood.
For your sister and your brother, save the life of another. You might never know.
Give blood.
As you love a life, you love many people. One blood. The Father says so.
One blood.
Sign up today. Be a blood donor. Many people. One blood.
And now the news. More than 90% of the bondholders eligible to take up the Jamaica Debt Exchange JDX offer have already submitted the documents to start that process. The news comes with the announcement that the submission deadline has been extended from January 27 to 1 p.m. on February 3. The expected settlement date for the transaction remains February 16. Finance Minister Audley Shaw has already explained to Parliament that brokers asked for the additional time to continue working with their retail clients. The JDX forms that have so far been submitted are subject to verification. Prime Minister Bruce Golding praised the holders of government debt instruments who have responded in overwhelming support to the initiative.
We have had to ask the bondholders to give Jamaica a break, and I'm very, very pleased that they have responded in the way that they have.
Prior to taking calls on his monthly talk show program last night, Mr. Golding reiterated the importance of the debt exchange.
There were some bonds out there that we were paying 28% on. This year we are paying out for debt service well over $300 billion, $335 billion, I think, is the figure for interest payments and for loan repayments. And when we have to pay out so much money, it means several things. It means that we have to keep borrowing, and by borrowing, you're pushing up the interest rates even further. It means also that there is less money available to do the important things that government needs to do.
The revision of the submission forms received thus far paves the way for the Finance Ministry to submit a preliminary report to the International Monetary Fund. That report will be circulated to the IMF board ahead of its meeting on Jamaica's request for a standby loan arrangement next Wednesday. In the meantime, Minister of Finance Audley Shaw has once again underscored the urgency with which the government has had to implement the debt exchange program. In addition to the revenue government projects to earn this financial year, it would also need to raise the equivalent of 3% of the current budget to make interest payments on its debt. Finance Minister Audley Shaw says for the last 10 years, debt servicing has accounted for anywhere between 122 and 129% of total revenue.
In those years, after you have mopped up all of your revenue and grants and paid debt, you still have to borrow a little more to complete debt servicing. And then you have to borrow to do the things that governments were created to do. Pay your police, pay your teachers, fix the roads, provide for the schools and the hospitals, and so on and so forth.
In addition to its debt servicing obligations, the government fell 20% short of the revenue it projected to earn this year. Minister Shaw says since international creditors were unwilling to lend, it had to borrow locally, which forced up the interest rates on loans. He says there was no other option but to seek financing at lower interest rates from the International Monetary Fund. The debt exchange initiative is a critical component of the IMF agreement. The government has signed a negotiating agreement with Caribbean Airlines for the sale of Air Jamaica. Prime Minister Bruce Golding made the announcement on the Jamaica House live call-in program last night.
We haven't concluded, but we have an agreement to negotiate towards concluding.
He says negotiations with Caribbean Airlines is proceeding at a very fast pace. At the same time, he again addressed the proposal put forward by the Jamaica Airline Pilots Association to take over control of the national carrier.
They are confident that they'll be able to put together an arrangement. I have indicated to them that that will be dependent on the outcome of the negotiations with Caribbean Airlines.
The Jamaica-Cuba Eye Care Ophthalmology Center was officially opened yesterday at the St. Joseph's Hospital. This means Jamaicans are in a better position to receive screening and treatment for various eye problems. The center is an offshoot of the Jamaica-Cuba Eye Care program, through which Jamaicans receive eye care treatment in Cuba at the expense of that government.
Over the 4.5 years that this program has been conducted, we have treated over 5,000 persons who have gone to Cuba for surgical treatment. A total of more than 50,000 have been examined, have been screened, and of that number, over 5,000 have gone to Cuba and have benefited from this facility. And therefore, I really want today to express on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica our appreciation to the Cuban government for this tremendous assistance that it has provided.
When the ophthalmology center becomes fully operational, it will be able to accommodate patients from other English-speaking Caribbean countries who normally visit Cuba for eye care. Health Minister Rudyard Spencer says the center complements the government's no-user-fee policy. He says the facility will broaden eye care options to those who can't afford to deal with this aspect of their health.
The facility also advances the mandate of the Council for Human and Social Development, COSAD, which seeks to promote the improvement of health, including development and organization, efficient and affordable health services in the Caribbean community.
The Jamaica-Cuba Eye Care program began in July of 2004 through the collaborative effort of Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez and Cuba's President Fidel Castro. It was later extended to other countries.
Since then, and until December 31st, 2009, more than 1.8 million surgeries have been conducted under this program, involving patients from different countries who can clearly explain today what miracle operation really means. A program with a profound humanistic spirit.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Rudyard Spencer is calling on countries in the region to strengthen their healthcare facilities. He says the recent earthquake in Haiti is a reminder of the vulnerability of small island states.
This region must quicken the pace at which we march toward the great cause of peace, prosperity, and social security for all our peoples. We must control rising healthcare costs, increase access to healthcare, especially for the poor and vulnerable, and we must provide more security and stability to the citizens in this region.
Primary school students will be sitting the 2010 Grade 6 Achievement Test, GSAT, a week later than initially planned. It was originally proposed that the exam would be administered on March 18 and 19. The proposed dates were sent out in the regular calendar of events in June of 2009. The Education Ministry says it has had to push back the dates because of unforeseen scheduling conflicts. GSAT will now be held on March 25 and 26. June 18 remains the date for the release of the results. The government will be taking a tough stance on persons who fail or refuse to keep their properties clean to the point where it becomes a public nuisance or health concern. Prime Minister Bruce Golding addressed the issue on his monthly call-in program on Wednesday night. He pointed out that parish councils have the power to go in and clean up properties that are not kept in good condition. They can then claim that money against the title. But Mr. Golding says the process is so tied up in